This is a new and interesting video that we're trying. Hopefully it works. If not, at least we tried. But welcome to Bear with us. I am Bearsfan alongside my wonderful guest. I mean, not guest, my wonderful co-host.
Sup guys, it's Juggerbear.
And as you can tell, we're the two bears, so that's why we called it Bear with Us. Haha, get the funny joke. But we kind of just made this because we thought that try to expand on something, try something a little new, and if you guys are looking for what this is going to be like, I'd say it's more of like a bit of a commentary experience with a bit of like old 2010s life advice cod video. And if you guys like it, give us a like. If you have any questions for us, leave them in the comments. We'll most likely answer them. And going on, we had a couple of things that we want to talk about. We'll probably talk about one in the next episode, but the first one we want to talk about is anxiety. It's a weird thing. Everyone's kind of gone through it, but at least for me recently, I've realized that, anxiety is kind of gets you out of nowhere. I thought I thought I had a ton of anxiety at first, but with recent events of stuff going on in my family, getting new hours at work, uh, friends leaving for the summer, it's been a little hard. And I, I guess since I'm starting off with one of my questions is how do you cope with anxiety? Because I've been trying to figure that out.
And there's
And
lots of ways that, at least I've found, that you can use to cope with it. I mean, I guess I'm the resident Catholic of the group though, so I find prayer to be very useful, but I know not everyone is particularly religious. But if you're not religious, you could work on meditating, exercise, all sorts of things that can try and help mitigate it, because a healthy body leads to a healthy mind, I find.
right, and I had a bit of a panic attack on Thursday where well, not this Thursday, but last Thursday. It was the first time ever experiencing something like that. And I felt like my heart was like gonna explode. I could not rest. I could not do anything. And it got to the point where I had to like go to my family and I'm like, hey, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm thinking I'm like having a stroke or something. And my stepfather, bless him, he really helped me in that moment, and he gave me some Bible verses to read over. And like, I'm a I'm religious myself, but I don't really read the Bible a ton, and that I can't atone that those verses, at least for the moment, really helped me out. And it's weird, man. I'm it, it- it's it's hard to really just talk about because anxiety is just something that comes up on everyone. No one has one confirmed answer on how to deal with it. And I think that's what makes it kind of rough is that even though, yes, working out does help and that, praying does help, everyone's completely different. And while I think that's good, I also think that's kind of a sad point of it all that anxiety is just it's just you not everyone has the same answer to it. But I guess that would make it I guess that would make anxiety something that you have to overcome though. And I guess if you're thinking of it this way, because at least that's how my stepfather has tried to preach to me about how, you know, whoever is up there or whatever is in control of all of this, they're not going to put you in a situation where you can't get out of. And you have to be strong enough to get out of that situation yourself. And I sort of agree with that to a point. Everyone has different issues and everyone has different tolerances of what they can and can't do. But I've grown to find that to be really helpful. That I'm going to be able to overcome it. It'll really suck for the moment.
I mean, shoot, I wish I knew more about anxiety because I've never personally had like anxiety disorder. But there are moments where it's like, specifically, like you mentioned last Thursday, I was going through something similar though, where I was kind of, I'm not sure if I could call it a panic attack though, but I was kept up very late at night over like a troubling news story I had read about. Kind of started doom scrolling about it up to like 4 a.m. And there's a thing where part of it is just you have to accept your current situation that you're in. Like, there's not, if there is something you can do about it, do what you can, but there's also, you can only control so much, and you can't worry about what you can't control.
Right? You have to be aware. You have to be aware of it. Obviously, you don't want to just flat out ignore it because then that kind of makes the issue a bit worse. But to a point, you have to be aware of what you can control, and whatever you can't control, you have to tell yourself, I'm doing the best that I can with the hand that I'm dealt. It, I guess the best way I can kind of put it is in a poker reference where the dealer gave you a seven of clubs and a two of spades, and the river is looking like uh, two kings and a jack. Simply put, it's not looking too hot for you. The best thing you can do is stay calm, and sometimes you do have to fold, but sometimes you can bluff your way out of it. Other times, turns out you get two sevens and you get a three of a kind and you win the hand. The
I mean,
worst thing you could
to add
go ahead.
on to your point there, sorry for interrupting, my orchestra teacher, I loved him, but one of the things he would say in orchestra where if there's a part you were not good at, like let's say it's a particularly complex part for your section, and you're really struggling with it, and there's like a week to go until, the actual performance, and you still haven't gotten it, and you keep practicing, and you can't get it. He would say, like, fake it till you make it, where you can't show up to the entire audience, whether that be judges or even your parents who are just going to clap like seals because there's my little boy, he or she's playing the piano or whatever. As long as you look
100.
like it for your, like you're playing well for your orchestra. If you're in a big section, it's easier with a violin. If you're one of the four bass kids, you've really got to learn your part, and you should learn your part anyway. But that's beside the point.
Yeah,
Just
and
look like you know what you're doing.
100%. And it's like my parents have talked with me about asking them for help, and I think a part of me has gotten myself my own way of wanting that independence because I want to be independent, but it's hard to be independent where and we'll probably talk about this in the future sometime, but it's hard to be independent when the only time you can be independent is when you can't afford a house, because that situation is incredibly screwed up. But something that I have noticed, and my parents have talked with me about this, is that I think a part of it stemmed from where I could struggle with failing. And this is a conversation we had like just yesterday. Mm, I I think I have such a fear of failing that it's actively helping my anxiety. get worse. And I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot to be like, oh, well, if you're struggling with feel of failure, then just fail more often. And it's like, that's not how it works. Fear of failure goes as far as you feel like if you don't achieve this, you lose something.
Hey, one of my
And
friends is going through the same thing, where she is a very lonely person. Like, she can make online friends fairly well, but in person, she's constantly worried about, oh, what if I humiliate myself? What if I do this? What if I do that? And that can be very paralyzing.
and most people and as someone that can attest to this, most people who are afraid of failure, they're not afraid about what's going to happen to them, but rather to people around them. They fear that their perception of them is going to change and that it's going to actively get worse. And that's something I've kind of noticed. That I'm so worrying about how others perceive me that I'm not allowing myself to fail. And failure is a natural part of life. Obviously, you should want to achieve everything you do. But I'm starting to know that if my anxiety is stemming from the fact that I'm not okay with telling myself to fail, then maybe I do need to like fail more. And that's a very odd statement to hear from someone who uh is like who grinded like for me personally, I grinded my ass off to even start in football, but like it's very odd to like hear that and be like, "Hey, you're fine to fail. Just you have to know when to." Obviously, there's a good time to fail and a bad time to fail. A good time to fail is, like I said, that one night when I'm with my family and I'm like, hey, there's something I don't feel right. A bad time to fail would be you're in the middle of a flight and there's no way off and you have to sit on it for about 10 more hours. That's a not very great time to fail. But
I mean, to get onto the whole failure thing a bit more here, one of my favorite people to listen to is this guy named Jocko Willink, a former Navy SEAL, and one of his whole shticks is this whole kind of good meme. Or online you'll see it a lot. It's like, oh, crapped my pants, good. But what he's trying to get at with that is failure is also a lesson teacher. Like, it's a strict teacher, but it's still a teacher nonetheless, where when you fail, you can learn how did this happen, kind of detach from the situation, which that's good for anxiety overall. It's like, instead of focusing on the present, like, oh no, like, what if this, what if this, what if this, it's like, back up for a second, kind of, instead of being on 10x zoom, go to like 5, 3, 2, 1, something like that, where it's just stop. I hate to say stop being emotional about the situation because that can be very hard, but to just kind of pull back a bit, kind of try what you can to get off the gas, of because that's when you'll make mistakes. You're not thinking clearly.
right. And I can kind of get this into a little more funnier way. You're on the road of anxiety. You have a couple of options. Slow down or speed up. And there's obviously some times where you need to slow down when you feel like you should speed up. But then again, there are some times where you speed up even though when you slow down. So it's it's interesting. It's interesting because like we said, anxiety isn't a topic that can just be fixed with a snap of your fingers. It takes years to overcome it. And I'm starting my road to recovering from it. Now, obviously, I'm not too insane. I know that my road to anxiety uh has some bumps that I actively allow in it, but I'm gonna be honest, dog. You could tell me to give up. You could tell me to give up my phone. No, bad, not gonna happen. Jokes aside, uh, you have to give and take with what you got with anxiety. There are some clear, obvious stuff that you have to be like, okay, here's what I'm willing to lose for it, and here's what I'm not willing to lose for it. And if you can find that little gray space where uh you're just on the right path, then I feel like anyone can kind of overcome it.
I mean,
Here's the
another
You can
thing
go
to
on.
add on here is professional help, where this is more so applies to someone with anxiety disorder, to where a little anxiety throughout life is just going to happen. Like, if you can think you're going to get anxious eventually, but for people that have anxiety disorder, it's never a bad idea to seek out professional help. And I know a lot of people dislike the kind of talk therapy that is the main form of therapy, but there are other forms of it, along with shoot, there's probably, I think there are coaching services as well, like mental health coaching.
Oh, there's something for everything out there. But that's kind of getting to a point that I do want to make. Some anxiety is good for you. Anxiety isn't just a is also an emotion that you're allowed to feel. Like it's an emotion that can give you great strength when you really need it too. That's the thing. It's like everything. It's good in regulation. However, too much of something is not good for you. Like, for an example, too much kale is bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but to be honest though, who wants to eat kale nonstop besides lifting bros who's out there trying to get their next gain while on keto? Like, cool dog, you're on keto, but no one needs to know that you're on
Which is
keto.
why you never cut to begin with, though. You just keep bulking, keep eating your eggs, keep eating your steak, drink the chocolate milk. All of it raw, by the way.
Yeah, you actually the thing is you have to drink unpasteurized chocolate milk.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Uh,
Now you're getting it.
exactly. I'm thinking with my gas, also known as my brain. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, ain't I think we can kind of get to a point here where I think we can say that anxiety is something that you just need to be aware of and you need to overcome. There isn't an overall straightforward answer to what anxiety uh will do to fix yourself, like what you can do to fix anxiety. You just have to be aware of it and understand that you'll eventually get help. It may not be now, it may not be in a while, but everyone has their answer. You just have to find it. And for me, whenever I'm around my friends talking with them, I feel it go away.
That's something that
And
a lot of people don't seem to emphasize. I mean, everyone emphasizes of it with the whole loneliness crisis, where, shoot, the amount of people with close friends and the amount of close friends they have has gone down significantly since even a decade ago, where everyone's kind of has this sort of silent cry for help, where if you can make some friends in person, you should do it. Like, try and join clubs and groups in person, or if you can't, there are plenty of people online that most of my friends are online. Like, I'm going to a wedding soon where those are all online friends that I met, and they've been a godsend for me because a lot of them are cool people. And if you don't open up, you'll never meet these cool people, and you'll just kind of stew in your own kind of pot.
yeah, The only confirmed help that I can give you for anxiety is don't play Five Nights at Freddy's or watch Markiplier's Five Nights at Freddy's playthrough for anxiety.
You can't watch a jump
Trust
scare
me.
compilation though.
Yeah, obviously, because the jump scares are the funny part. But yeah, jokes aside, just the answer to anxiety is find your own answer. And that's a really kind of, I guess, I don't want to say piss poor way of giving giving an answer to it, but it really is the only answer. Only you can decide what affects you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a perfect way to really describe anxiety.
Is that kind of?
You you can find the answer and you can find the stuff to fix it,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to be committed to it. You don't just find the answer to anxiety like trying to find a hay in a needle stack, or well, I guess a needle in a haystack. I don't know why I referenced the. I've always thought it was hay in a needle stack because it's SpongeBob. A little bit off topic, but yeah, you gotta find your answer, and as soon as you find your answer, your anxiety is going to go away. So I guess you could just say the answer to anxiety is you. You can fix it. You just gotta find it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask for help along the way either. Where you're much more loved than you think you are, and people are willing to help you get out of any holes you dig.
Yeah. And the thing is, at the end of the day, be a, don't be a, obviously be wary of the outcomes, but don't be wary of what your family will think of you
Mm-hmm.
or what others will think of you, because that just leads to worse anxiety. So I guess we'll finish with the closing remarks on the subject of anxiety by saying this. Um, the Bears don't help with my anxiety, but guess what? The Yankees don't help with your anxiety either.
Unless you're a Red Sox fan, but
Yeah, but that'll do it for Bear with us. If you like we said, if you have anything that you want to have us answer, put it in the comments. And
we'll see you guys
thanks
next
for
time.
watching. See you guys next video.